Hello everyone, this is Naj, and I do apologize in advance if there's any noise, please excuse that. Might be quite a bit of noise, in fact. Well, not much. Let me make that even better for a bit. Okay, so, this video or recording is going to kick off another series of explaining and talking about one specific game in greater detail, how I used to do back, when was that? A year and a half ago? When I did that with Daniel's package. I want to go through some of the other games that I've gotten since that I haven't really covered completely. But first, before I do any of that, I would like to quickly look at some of the games that I've gotten and look at some high scores, because I haven't done that forever. So I'm going to try and go in order in terms of date of when I got them. Of course, a lot of these batteries have been swapped out, stuff has changed for some of them, not for all of them, and some of them don't keep high scores at all. So, let's see. I'm going to start with the Simon Swipe. Now, also, I'm going to have to run around trying to find the particular game that I'm looking for, because I have so many that they're placed in different boxes and stuff. So, I'm going to start with the Simon Swipe being the first one that I think needs covering. And I'm going to check high scores on this. Of course, for those who remember, on levels I have 90 exactly, which is the top score. Let's check the other ones. Classic. $24. Not bad. My highest in my whole entire life is 28, which I've never been able to do again. Extreme is next. $17. Highest that I've ever done in my life is 23, and I remember that quite distinctly. I think we even had a recording of it somewhere. And Party, which I don't play very often at all because it's extreme, but longer. And I have a score of 1 on that, so yay. Okay, so that's the Simon Swipe done. Now, let's keep going. Let's do the new jam guitar next, because I thought I might as well just show this off. The reason why is because I actually put batteries into this thing yesterday, and it's working just fine. And so, it took me about 2 tries on both modes, but on jam I have high score, which is exactly 300. Jam! And rhythm jam! Same thing, except this time it's 400, so I beat the whole thing. High score! I'm trying to say is that I maxed out the whole entire thing in a matter of about 25 minutes, which is great. Okay, there's that. Now, let's see. The Bop It Refresh doesn't really have maxed out scores per se. I remember getting 200 on this once, but I haven't been able to do it since. Let's see. What are the top scores?
Bop it to start. High score, 0.
Oh, 0. Okay.
Bop it. Yow! Bop it like you mean it. Score, 0.
So it looks like the Bop It Refresh has been freshly reset, which I'm not really sure when that happened exactly. I think it was just trying to go into test mode.
Bop it to start.
So let's see. Let's do the... Oh, I want to show you this. Now this is not a high score per se, but it's something that I did just for lols. It's on the
32,032,032 total hits. Select your game.
And that's how it's going to stay forever until the batteries and that thing stop working. 32,032,032. For those who don't know how to access the change total hits counter on the Bop It Bounce test mode, you can ask, and I might give you instructions, but I don't remember myself. It's been about 2 months since I've done that, and it's a bit complicated. It's not that complicated once you understand how you do it, but it's a bit weird. Let's see. Let's do the hyper toss next, because I don't actually think I've shown off the high scores on this thing, and they've never been improved since I think it was like a year ago, maybe like February or March of 2020, when I last actually actively played this, but I thought I might as well show you what my scores are because they are quite top-notch.
Hyper toss.
So on hyper toss I have
High score 5.31 seconds. Hyper toss.
which is crazy.
Placeable super toss.
Super toss is
High score 476 points. Choose game.
476 out of 480,
Super toss.
and then
Memory toss.
is maxed out.
High score 220 catches. 3.
Okay, so that's the hyper toss. Let's keep going. Next game is the Simon Micro, which I recently, just now, got a score on. I'm very, very close to the absolute max, but I'm still not there. It's gonna take me some time to get there if I actually manage to play this enough.
Solo. Havoc.
High score is
High score.
5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 55, 60, 65, 70, 75, 80, 85, 90.
Solo. Havoc.
Exactly 90. I could have continued if I wasn't foolish enough to press the wrong button at the wrong time. So 90 out of 100. It's quite an accomplishment, I would think. Next is the Simon Optics, which I haven't gotten a score in months, and I don't know if I'm ever going to get back to it, but eventually I will, if I play it enough. Highest for now is 53. I'm going to wait for this to turn off. Next, let's do the Simon Air, which Pixel gave me, and the Simon Air is, a lot of these haven't changed batteries once, or at least the ones that have a lot of high scores. The batteries in them haven't been changed for a really long amount of time. The Simon Air, let's see, we have 56 on levels, which is really crazy if you think about it. On multiplayer, I got a score of 18, and I think that was somewhere in the middle of the game, not from the beginning, but somewhere in the middle. I was trying to just remember what the levels were, because I played multiplayer by using my hands and legs as both, like for all 4 sensors. Yeah, call me crazy, I did that anyway. And classic, $24. Again, pretty respectable. I was actually expecting 22, or maybe 18, but never mind. So 24 on classic, and it might help that I've learned some of the pattern in the beginning, so I kind of knew what to expect. Let's keep going. So we got the Bop It Beats French version, which has recently been reset, but I did play DJ on this a few times, and as a result...
Bienvenue. Solo. Appuie sur Bop It pour commencer.
I have
Meilleur score. Solo. 1. DJ. 150 et 1.
151.
Appuie sur Bop It pour commencer.
There's that.
Je me mets en veille.
Let's see. Okay, so our next game that I want to show high scores for is the
Hyperslide. Choose the game you want, then press the button to get started.
So let's take a look.
1. Fast pass.
Now, I do admit I am not sliding the discs most of the time when I'm playing this. I'm trying to go for high scores, so I usually just end up putting the unit on its side and hitting the discs against the sensor. So
Fast pass. The all-time high score is 81 passes. Blue, begin. Hyper slide. 1, 2. Add 1. Add 1. The all-time high score is 22 passes. Blue, begin. Hyper slide. 2. Add 1.
and this last one is just crazy. I actually have this on recording.
3. Code Buster. Code Buster. The all-time high score is 17 passes in 74.6 seconds. Solve level 4.
That is pretty crazy. Shut up. Okay, now let's see. Let's go over to this. Nothing really crazy here. The highest on this is probably going to improve after a while if I play this enough. That's 12. I can easily beat that at some point, but that's what I have for now on the Simon Classic 2020. No, I didn't ask you to do that. Did. Come on, do it. There you go. I'm trying to sort the loops and the Simon Air together because they're kind of falling down as they're standing up. Okay, let's see. Next, I think I want to do... That was not supposed to happen. Oh, and the new jam guitar just lost its high scores. Good thing I recorded them because batteries have now been changed and now they're...
High score!
Oh, they're still here. Nice. Okay, so speaking of Hasbro, next game that I'm going to be doing high scores for is the...
I am Torque. Twist me to select game. Game 1. High score! Game 1, 180. Game 2. High score! Game 2, 35.
That's probably going to be...
Game 3.
Probably gonna be
Torque
improved later.
says, when you hear
I
this
didn't ask
sound,
you...
you must... Okay. I am Torque. Twist me to select game. Game 3. Torque says game. High score! Game 1. Game 2. Game 3. High score! Game 3. 204. Okay. Maybe later.
So I beat game 3. I didn't mean to flip it off like that, but 240 is the max for all of these games. I'm not sure exactly why it's 240, but 180 on game 1, 35 on game 2, which is subject to change. I just need to get better, and 240 on game 3, because that's the easiest one. Okay, anything else? I'm trying to think. So there is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. What is the last thing? Oh yeah, okay. So let's do this next. Now keep in mind, as you probably already know, but for me, I'm completely blind. I can't see anything, so this is quite a crazy accomplishment for me.
Speed mode. Current high score is 50 points. 1 second. Level mode. Current high score is 7. Memory mode. Current high score is 5s.
That's the flip slide.
One notification. New officer calls in.
Yes. And... excuse me. The last game that I'll be showing high scores for, that I've since practiced just a bit more because it's so addictive, is the...
Break the board. Level up.
So here we go.
Level 1. Fastest time. 3.36 seconds. Level 2. Fastest time. 3.92 seconds. Level 3. Fastest time, 5.12 seconds. Level 4. Fastest time, 5.24 seconds. Level 5. Fastest time, 6.29 seconds. Level 6. Fastest time, 7.05 seconds. Level 7. Fastest time, 8.57 seconds. Level 8. Fastest time, 12.93 seconds.
I could probably do better on that one.
Level 9. Fastest time, 9.11 seconds.
9! And
Level 10. Fastest time, 11.44 seconds.
so
Slide
there's
your
that.
hand under the
Oh,
flashing
and
light
also
to start
this.
the game. Competition. Ready, player 1, 2, player 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 1, player. Fastest time, hard. Fastest time, 14.28 seconds. Ready, player 1.
That too.
Slide your hand under the flashing light to start the game.
Okay, so that's some high score recap. It only took like 15 minutes, don't worry. This is mostly for the people who watch my electronic game collection or just in the part of the community and actually like to follow my goings on. But I guess for those who haven't heard any of the games that I've featured so far in action, you can always ask about them. So this episode of greater detail, as it were, is about the game. Well, it's going to be in the title anyway, but one of the games that Pixel gave me, and one of the games that is really, really fun to play, albeit very challenging as well. It is the
Let's play Brain Bash.
Brain Bash. So, Brain Bash is made by Tiger Electronics, 1994, which makes it one of the oldest games in the collection, and one of the oldest games, period, to be actually fun enough and also still challenging enough to have a lot of fun with. Even how many years has it been? 27 years? That's a lot of years, you know? So it's been that long, and I have to commend Tiger for the amount of PCM samples that are stored in this game. It's crazy. Definitely not as many as the Brain Warp, which has even more of them, but still crazy. Anyway, the Brain Bash is very flat. I guess you could call it a square, but it has, like, angles coming out of all four corners, making it like a four-pointed star or an X almost. But the inside part is a square, basically. It's quite big. It's supposed to be a tabletop game, really, where four players sit next to each other in a circle, and each player has a button of their own which is facing them. And then, so basically, there's four outer buttons that control the players. Each button is shaped like a circle, or more like a half ball, I guess. And these control the players, and then there are inside buttons, four on the inside, on the square part, which on mine are a bit more clicky than the outside ones, and those are used for actions that are done by every player. So you'll see what I mean in just a minute. On the back, there is the battery cover, which in this case isn't screwed on. It's merely just a slider thing. So you just slide it off, and there we go. Takes 4 AA batteries, and on mine, the compartment is a bit stingy when it comes to how the batteries go in, and they might jump out if you don't put them in carefully enough, so you need to be a bit careful with that. But besides that, it should work just fine. There's also ribbon, of course, which helps in keeping the batteries in place, but unfortunately for now, it's hindering my ability to put the cover back on the thing, which may make it so that it won't even connect properly. Let's see.
Let's play.
Okay, good, it's working. So there's a switch on the back, which is the on and off switch. It's a hardware controlling switch, so it just takes power from the batteries, and that's how it turns it on. There's also the speaker on the back, which I'm not sure why it's supposed to be on the back, because it's a tabletop game. Why isn't it front fire? Never mind. There's also supposed to be rubber feet all the way on the corners where the outside player buttons are, but they have since rubbed off four corners. In fact, the battery cover as well is supposed to have some kind of sponge-like instrument that is supposed to keep it in place. But unfortunately, ever since Pixel's gotten his it has disintegrated, which is a very big sign of age. There's also a logo in the very center on the front, which is kind of sideways and on this weird diagonal angle. Now, I hold the Brain Bash in a weird way. I have it so that numbers 1 and 2 are in front of me on the left and right, and 3 and 4, 3 is on the top right and 4 is on the top left. You're supposed to hold it so that it's 4 and 3 in front of you, maybe. Or no, it's 3 and 4 in front of you and 1 and 2 on the top away from you. But I don't know. I just picked it up, and that's how I've gone to associate with it, and it just makes more sense to me this way. So I'm gonna play this in my lap because there's no real reason not to. And I'm gonna turn this, well, before I turn it on. So when it says let's play Brain Bash, it's asking for a few things. So you can press any of the outer buttons. The number associated with one of the outer buttons you press determines how many players you'll have. Now here's the thing. You cannot play this with less than 2 players. You need 2, 3, or 4 people for a fair match. The way it does scores is basically there's no other way around it. You need 2, 3, or 4 players. But you can always do it yourself, and 1 player is basically the same as 4 players, which is what I'm going to be doing. Now, once I get to the scoring, I'll tell you what the difference is between the 2, 3, and 4 modes.
Let's play Brain Bash.
So if I do
1 player, 2 player, 3 player, 4 player.
So it
1
changes.
player, 2 player, 3 player, 4 player.
Now if I press any of the inside buttons,
Game 1,
it will change games.
Game 2, Game 3, Game 4, Game 5.
There's 5 of them, and they go in order.
Game 1,
I'm going to start on game 1.
Game 1, level 1.
So you hear this beat, and you hear
3 touch 1.
commands.
3 touch 1. 3 touch 1.
Outer, inner.
1 touch 1.
So the first number is the outer
4
button.
touch 1.
The second number is the inner button, so 1, touch 1.
2 touch 3.
2, touch 3.
2 touch 1.
2, touch 1.
1 touch 1.
1, touch 1.
1 touch 1. 4 touch 1.
4, touch 1.
1 touch 1.
You just keep following the instructions.
2 touch 3. 2 touch 3. 3 touch 4. 2 touch 3. 1 touch 4.
And eventually it speeds up. There's 3 speeds. Depending on how long it's taken, depending on where you are in the round in terms of completion, it will speed up at a certain point.
2 touch 2. 1
So
touch
we're
3.
near the middle mark right now.
4 touch 2. 2 touch 2. 3 touch 3. 1 touch 2. 4 touch 1. 2 touch 4. 3 touch 1. 1 touch 4. 4 touch 3. 1 touch 4. 4 touch 3. 3 touch 2. 2 touch 3. 4 touch 2.
We're just about to speed up
2
again.
touch 1. 1 touch 3. 3 touch 1.
There we go.
3 touch 1. 1 touch 4. 4 touch 3. 1 touch 3. 2 touch 1. 3 touch 3. 4 touch 3. 4 touch 3.
There is no confirmation as to if you did it right. There is a sound, though, if you get it wrong,
4 touch 4. 2 touch 1.
or if you take too long.
2 touch
There's
2.
also sound for that.
1 touch 1.
We're just about to end this round.
3 touch 3. 2 touch 3. 4 touch 1. 3 touch 4. 4 touch 1. 3 touch 2. 3 touch 2. Player 4 is 16 points. Player 3 is 16 points. Player 2 is 16 points. Player 1 is 16 points. Let's play next game.
So, it counted down everyone, and it said everyone has 16 points. No, I'm just kidding. But, so everyone has 16. The reason why it works like that is because the game has a way of saying every single player gets 16 actions. So, if one player has already had all their 16 actions completed, it will never call that player again. It has an elimination factor, basically, so where everyone has an equal chance to get an equal amount of points if they do equally as well. Equally good, by that I mean. So, in this scoring stage, if you press the outer buttons, the player button,
Player 1 is 16 points.
will tell you what your score is if you press your own button.
Player 4 is 16 points.
If you press any of the inner buttons, it will continue with the next round. So, the two-player mode, basically 1 and 2 is player 1, and 3 and 4 is player 2. So if you press 3 or 4, it will say player 2. In 3-player mode, there's 1, 2, and 3, and 4 doesn't actually do anything. It plays the "you're wrong" sound.
Player 3 is 16 points.
Which means it will never ever say 4 touch anything, because player 4 is not possible. And in 1 or 4-player mode, it's always 4 players. Okay, so let's keep going. Now this is where it gets a bit more interesting.
Game 1, level 2.
Level 2. As you can hear, it takes twice as long.
1 touch 3 time.
1 touch 3 times. So
3 touch 1 2 time.
you hear
1 touch 4 3 time.
you hear a number and you have to press it multiple
4
times.
touch 3 2 time. 3 touch 3 1 time.
You still have to touch the player
1 touch 3 4
first.
time.
1, 2, 3, 4.
3 touch 1 1 time.
Unfortunately, all these touches count to 1
Touch 3 4 time.
point. So they don't actually
2 touch 2 3 time.
they don't
3 touch 4 1 time.
the amount of times you touch that number
2 touch 3
doesn't
time.
add more points to your score. It adds 1 if you do it
1 touch 2
correctly.
3 time. 4 touch 4 1 time.
So it's every player's responsibility in their own thing to hit
1 touch 4 3
their
time.
actions correctly, basically. This is
4
why
touch 3 3
it's
time.
basically a multiplayer game. But it's also fun to do just by yourself, see if you can get every player the same
2
score.
touch 2 4 time. 3 touch 2 1 time.
It's very rhythmic, you know?
2 touch 1 3 time.
There's no reason to be as rhythmic as I'm doing
1
here,
touch 4
but
1 time. 4 touch 4 1 time. 2 touch 3 3 time. 1 touch 3 3 time. 4 touch 3 3 time. 3 touch 2 3 time. 2 touch 2 1 time. 1 touch 4 1 time. 4 touch 1 1 time. 1 touch 4 3 time. 3 touch 3 3 time. 4 touch 1 1 time.
I don't have much to say, really.
1 touch 4 3 time.
Aside from the fact that it just sped
2
up.
touch 4 2 time.
But I'm just pointing out the obvious, aren't I?
4 touch 1 2 time. 3 touch 4 1 time. 1 touch 2 2 time. 2 touch 1 3 time. 4 touch 4 4 time. 3 touch 4 3 time. 3 touch 1 2 time. 2 touch 1 3 time. 2 touch 3 4 time. 3 touch 2 1 time. 4 touch 1 2 time.
Can you please end?
4 touch 3 3 time. 4 touch 2 3 time. 3 touch 4 3 time. Player 4 is 28 points. Player 3 is 28 points. Player 2 is 28 points. Player 1 is 28 points. Let's play the next game.
Nice. So it looks like I am doing perfectly. Every player is maxed out at 28 points. Now, you might be asking why 28? Why not 32? It's because every round has a set number of points for each player, so in this case, level 2 has 12 points instead of 16. Level 3 only has 8 points because of how complex the commands get. So if you thought level 2 was hard enough, get ready for level 3.
Game 1, level 3.
So, this is what it
2
sounds
touch
like.
4 2 time, then 1.
2 touch 4 2 times, then 1.
3 touch 2 3 time, then 2. 2 touch 1 3 time, then 1. 4 touch 2 1 time, then 3.
So you have to
3
touch
touch 1 2 time, then 4.
a number a certain amount of times, then
2, touch 4, 2 times, then 3.
another number
2,
at
touch
the
3,
very
2
end.
times, then 3.
Sometimes it's the same number.
1, touch 4, 1 time, then 4. 3, touch 3, 4 time, then 1.
3, 4, 4, 4, 4, 1.
1, touch 2, 3 time, then 4. 2, touch 3, 3 time, then 1.
2, 3, 3, 3, 1.
4, touch 3, 3 time, then 2.
4, 3, 3, 3, 2.
2, touch 1, 3 time, then 1.
2, 1, 1, 1, 1.
3, touch 4, 2 time, then 2.
3, 4, 4, 2.
2, touch 4, 4 time, then 3. 3, touch 3, 4 time, then 2. 1, touch 4, 3 time, then 4. 4, touch 4, 4 time, then 1. 4, touch 1, 1 time, then 3.
You really have to count your
1, touch 1, 1 time, then 2.
presses here.
2, touch 2, 4 time, then 1. 3, touch 1, 3 time, then 4. 3, touch 4, 4 time, then 2. 1, touch 1, 3 time,
You
then
can
2.
do it as early or as late as you want, as long as it gets into where,
1, touch 3, 4 time, then 1. 1, touch 3, 4 time, then 3. 1, touch 1, 1 time, then 4. 4, touch 3, 1 time, then 2. 4, touch 3, 2 time, then 1. 3, touch 1, 1 time, then 1. 4, touch 4, 3 time, then 1.
done.
Player 4 is winning with 36 points. Nice going, Player 4. Player 2 is winning with 36 points. Nice going, Player 2. Player 3 is last with 35 points. Come on, Player 3. Player 1 is last with 35 points. You goofed, Player 1. Let's play next game.
So it looks like both player 1 and 3 accidentally lost a command somewhere, and so they have 35 instead of 30. Sis! I don't know why, I just love how it says sis.
Player 4 is 36 points.
30 sis points. Anyway, now it's time to move on to one of the most annoying modes in the entire game. It's Game 2.
Game 2, level 1.
It's very hard to explain. So,
1 touch left.
1 touch
3
left,
touch right.
3 touch right,
1 touch cross.
1 touch across.
2 touch right.
So the commands are left,
2
right,
touch cross.
or across, and
1 touch left.
basically you have
3
to
touch left.
do it
2 touch left.
in relation to the
1
number.
touch right.
So 1 touch right is 2,
4 touch cross.
4 touch across is 2,
1 touch right. 4 touch left.
4 touch left is 3,
4 touch left. 2 touch left.
2 touch left is 1,
3 touch left.
3 touch left is 2,
1 touch left.
1 touch left is 4.
1 touch left. 2 touch left.
So
4 touch cross.
they can never be
3 touch cross.
the same
4
number
touch cross.
as the player number.
2
It's
touch cross.
either
2 touch cross.
left from it, right from it, or across from it.
3 touch right.
It's less confusing if there's actual people
1 touch right.
sitting at a table and visualizing it like that. But if you're just a person, one person playing this, it's
1 touch left.
really hard to visualize in the
2
beginning.
touch left.
But
3 touch left.
basically,
4 touch
if
right.
it says left,
1 touch left.
it's usually
2 touch left.
n minus 1.
3 touch right.
If it says right, it's n plus
4 touch
1.
cross.
And then across
4
is like
touch cross. 3
either
touch left.
plus or minus 2.
4 touch right.
Now if it says 4 touch right, that's 1.
4 touch right.
And 1 touch
2 touch
4
left. 1 touch cross.
is
3 touch right. 1 touch right.
no, 1 touch left, sorry, is
3 touch right. 2 touch cross.
4?
1 touch left.
I think,
4
yeah.
touch cross. 3 touch
I'm just
cross.
trying to talk while doing this, and I'm surprised I haven't messed
3
up.
touch right. 2 touch right.
As you can hear,
1 touch left.
as you will be able to,
4 touch
it
left.
will save
3 touch left.
scores.
2 touch
Oops,
cross.
see, I just messed up.
3 touch right.
That's what happens when you
4
mess
touch
up.
right. 4 touch right.
It will save the scores
4 touch cross.
for this current session going
Player 4
forward.
is winning with 51 points.
Aww.
Nice going, Player 4. Player 1 is winning with 51 points. Nice going, Player 1. Player 2 is next with 50 points. Player 3 is last with 49 points. You goofed, Player 3.
Aww.
Let's play next game.
So the highest score is supposed to be 52, but everyone's failed enough so that even the top score in terms of players is now only 51 instead of 52. If you thought that was hard enough, it's Game 2, Level 2 time.
Game 2, Level 2.
It's twice as long this time because
One touch across 4 times.
one touch across 4 times.
3 touch left 2 times.
Same thing as last time with just the numbers instead, it's directions this time.
2 touch left 4 times.
So unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to get a perfect score on this one, but because of the fact that I'm talking,
1 touch across 3 times.
I think that can be excused, right?
2 touch left 3 times.
I'll be close enough
1 touch
anyway.
left 3 times.
If you mess up once during the game, you will never,
1 touch left 2 times.
ever be able to get those points back.
4 touch left 2 times.
It's basically an accuracy rating of like how many of them you
3
were able to
touch
get
right 3
right
times.
out of like a duration of the whole entire game.
4 touch across 2 times.
If you select a different game from the very beginning, it will basically just
1 touch right 1 time.
it will continue from that point onward, and when you reach the last game, which is Game 5,
2 touch across 2
it
times.
will just stop and reset itself.
1 touch across 1 time. 3 touch left 4 time. 1 touch right 4 time. 3 touch across 3 time. 1 touch across 4 time. 2 touch across 3 time. 3 touch across 3 time. 4 touch left 1 time. 3 touch right 3 time. 2 touch left 1 time.
Sometimes I take a moment to
4 touch
think
across 2 time.
of what I'm trying to do, because just in case I press the
4
wrong
touch
button,
left 1 time.
try to be as perfect or as accurate
2
as I
touch
can
right
be.
2 time.
And it's not easy.
1 touch left 1 time.
And you have plenty of time to think. I'm not saying you
1
don't.
touch
It's
left 2
just
time.
you still need to think about the direction
3 touch right 2 time.
of like which button you need to press.
4 touch left 3 time.
Okay.
2 touch right 3 time.
That was...
3 touch across 4 time.
I don't think that worked.
3 touch across 2 time. 2 touch left 1 time. 1 touch across 2 time. 2 touch left 2 time. 1 touch right 1 time.
So,
4 touch left
I
3
guess a
time.
downside to the brain bash, if you can
4
call it
touch
that,
across 4 time.
apart from the fact that it's
4 touch right 1 time.
very hard to get a hold of one anyway,
2 touch left 3 time.
in this condition at least.
3 touch left 3 time.
Oh no.
4 touch across 4 time.
Is the fact that it takes a very long amount of time to complete.
3 touch across 1 time.
We're only on Game
Player
2.
1 is winning with 63 points.
63
Nice
points.
going, player 1. Player 4 is next with 61 points. Player 2 is next with 60 points. Player 3 is last with 59 points. You
Ouch.
goofed, player 3.
It's pretty bad.
Let's play next game.
63 points is one less than 64, which is the most points you can be awarded until now. Okay, so from here on out, it gets a bit more interesting because it's now turning into math problem territory.
Game 3, level 1.
In Game 3, Level 1, and in Game 4 and Level 5,
Minus 4.
you will not
6
use
minus 3.
the inner
6
buttons.
minus 4.
You will only use the outer
5
buttons
minus 2.
to answer the math questions.
2 minus 0. 8 minus 7.
So you
1 plus 3.
press the appropriate
6 minus 4.
player button according
6
to
minus 3. 4 minus 1.
what the answer of the
7
question
minus
is.
6. 4 minus 2. 7 minus 3. 6 minus 4. 3 plus 1.
For those who know
1 minus 0.
what brain age,
5 minus 4.
train your brain in minutes a day for the Nintendo DS
5 minus
is,
2.
or any of the other brain age games for the Nintendo consoles, it's a little bit like
9
that,
minus 5.
except
4 minus 1.
you're pressing
3 minus 1.
buttons to a rhythm,
4 minus 3.
kind of, and
1
Also, you don't write the answers down using handwriting recognition with a stylus on the screen. But besides that, it's kind of same thing. It's testing your ability to react to math problems very, very quickly. Although, in Brain Age, you have questions that are much more complicated than this, with multiplication and longer, bigger answers that require multiple digits. It's not just 1, 2, 3, and 4, but besides that, it's kind of the same thing, almost. So this can be considered as a brain training application, if you will. Or at least the math ones can be. I'm not sure about the other ones, and I wouldn't say this actually boosts any kind of working memory or whatever, but maybe, just maybe. I mean, it was 1994, so it came much before Brain Age ever did. It was 2005. 79 points. Nice. I think I did that perfectly.
Next with 77 points.
77.
Player 2 is next with 76 points.
76.
Player 3 is last with 75 points. Come on, player 3. Let's play next game. Player 1 is 79 points.
Who was 77?
Player 4 is 77 points.
So I wanna put your attention to this just a little bit. Listen to the difference between 77.
Player 4 is 77 points.
For whatever reason, when it says 70, that 7, the s is more audible than the 7.
Player 4 is 77 points.
I don't know why it's like that, but they programmed it, so never mind. Also, of course, I'm not sure if you can tell, but it also says because they trimmed the is winning with a bit weirdly. Okay, game 3, level 2 is the next and the only, the last, game where you'll be able to press the inner buttons for questions.
Game 3, level 2.
Because it's like this.
8 minus 5, touch 2 plus 1.
So you press
6 minus 3, touch 3 plus 1.
2 buttons, an outer button
Touch 9 minus 6.
and an inner button
0 plus 1.
to answer this
Touch 6
question.
minus 5.
As you can hear,
7 minus 3.
the batteries
Touch 5 minus 3.
in this game, or in my unit, have started dying,
Touch 8 minus 6.
and you can tell because it starts distorting.
Minus 7. Touch 2 plus 1.
For those who've been following my channel for the last few months, they know
2 plus 1.
that the Brain Bash can do some quite
3 minus
amazing
1.
things
Touch 3 plus 1.
if you glitch the batteries.
4 minus 2. Touch 7 minus 5.
That is to say, putting them on even lower batteries where it starts distorting and becoming even more quiet than now,
5
and
minus 1.
then
Touch 5 minus 3.
removing power and putting it
1
back
minus 0.
very,
Touch
very
2
quickly.
plus 2. 9 minus 6. Touch 4 minus 0. 3 minus 2.
It can do
Touch 2 plus 2.
a lot of interesting things like jump scares
5
and
minus 2. Touch 8 minus 4.
even say that player 0 is winning with 0 points and stuff like that.
7 minus 3. Touch 3 plus 1. 9 minus 7. Touch 7 minus 3. 9 minus 5. Touch 9 minus 5.
9 minus 5, touch 9 minus 5.
6 minus 5. Touch 4 minus 1. 7 minus 4. Touch 0 plus 2. 4 minus 3. Touch 8 minus 7. 4 minus 1. Touch 3 plus 1. 0 plus 2. Touch 3 minus 0. 7 minus 3. Touch 9 minus 7. 2 plus 2. Touch 7 minus 4.
Kind of blacked out there.
1 plus 2. Touch 5 minus 3. 0 plus 2. Touch 7 minus 4. 5 minus 1. Touch 7 minus 3. 6 minus 5. Touch 2 plus 1. 2 minus 0. Touch 3 plus 1. 6 minus 3. Touch 8 minus 7.
This is where the
7 minus 3.
speed of the announcements for plus and minus get most relevance because it's really, really fast at this point.
5 minus 4. Touch 8 minus 6.
So being able to tell
2 minus 0.
what it's telling me to do from this speed is crucial that the numbers are this fast, spoken very, very quickly.
2 plus 1. Touch 4 minus 3.
it's fast enough that if you don't get trained, if your ears aren't trained enough to fast speech like this, you might not actually be able to understand what it's trying to tell you. But because of me being blind and having used screen readers for a very long amount of time, I have no reason not to understand what it's trying to say.
Player 1 is winning with 91 points. Nice going, player 1.
Nice.
Player 4 is next with 89 points. Player 2 is next with 88 points. Player 3 is last with 87 points. You goofed, player 3. Let's play next game.
Nice. So 91. I still haven't gotten anywhere lower than just 1 point below perfect score with one of the players. Okay, so we have 2 more rounds to go. Game 4 and Game 5 have no levels whatsoever. It's just Game 4 and Game 5 by themselves. But they are the hardest and the longest ones out there. Get ready.
Game 4.
So in this one, you get a question.
1 minus 0.
1,
Plus 0.
1,
Plus 3.
4,
Minus
3.
1. Plus 0.
So it's like a continuous math problem that just adds or subtracts
Plus 1.
numbers,
Minus 1.
and
Plus 1.
you have to keep up with it.
Plus 0.
You have to keep it in your count.
Minus 1.
Every time it gets around to the end of the beat, press the button.
Minus 1.
You can press it earlier as well, but I just like to do it like this to keep the beat.
Minus 1.
And then it speeds up.
Plus 3. Minus 1. Minus 1.
And again, same thing applies here. There's 16 for every
Minus 1.
player, so it knows
Plus 3.
to give specific number instructions
Minus 1.
for every player so that it equals out to an equal amount of points for each player.
Minus 1.
I don't know how
Minus 1.
they programmed it like that, but it's very smart the way they did it.
Minus 1.
It likes to say -1, -1, -1 a lot.
Plus 3.
It's constantly going 4, 3, 2, 1, 4, 3, 2, 1 for whatever reason.
Minus 1.
No, seriously, it's been doing that for... How long has it been doing that? Oh my god, come on. Stop it!
Minus 1.
Why are you going in patterns? It's not supposed to do this.
Plus 3.
I'm telling you right now...
Minus 2.
Oh, there we go, see?
Minus 1. Plus 3.
It's not doing that anymore, but... Wait.
Plus 1.
Oh, see there?
Minus 2.
Okay, now it's deviating, but I don't understand why it was so pattern-based before. I was saying +0.
Minus 2. Minus 1. Plus 2.
Oh, it's really distorting right now.
Plus 2.
You might actually be dying.
Plus 0.
This is bad.
Minus 1. Plus 1. Plus 1. Plus 0. Plus 0.
We might have a case of...
Is winning with 107 points. Nice going, player 1. Player 4 is next with 105 points. Player 2 is next with 104 points. Player 3 is last with 103 points. Come on, player 3. Let's play next game.
Let's play last game, you mean? So, we might actually have a case of the batteries in this thing being lower than I thought they were. That's quite interesting. So, we have the last game. Now, this one's going to take a while, and it's 16 for each player, because 108 plus 16 equals 124, am I right? So that is the maximum score you can get. Now, what's weird, I want to talk about... It doesn't time out, by the way, so I can take as long as I need. So, if you play this with 2 players, by the end of this round, because of the fact that it's 32 or 24, I don't know how many per player, because it's 1, 2, 3, 4, and it doesn't actually change, because of that, it makes it so that the points are doubled. So, player 1 and player 2, they can have a max score of 248 points. Now, unfortunately, the Brain Bash cannot count anything higher than 199. It will say 199 for anything that is above 199, all the way up to 255, which is the most that it can count up to, from what I can think, what I think of. So, if it says 199, it could mean 199 all the way up to 255. It just can't say it, which is annoying, because if you're doing well enough, both players can it's like, it can say, is winning with 199 points, and then the other one is last with 199 points. How does that make sense? Because internally, it knows what the number is, but it just can't say it. So that's a weird limitation of the Brain Bash, is that it can only count up to 199.
Game 5.
Okay, game 5. Pay very close attention.
2. Minus 1. Plus 2. 3.
So it's giving you a pattern,
Minus 1.
and you have to press the button
Minus 2.
when the horn happens.
2. Minus 1. Plus 2. 2. Minus 0.
This time it's taking a bit longer.
Plus 1. Plus 3. Plus 1.
Minus 4. Now these patterns are pre-programmed. They're always the same. They aren't random.
Minus 2. 0. Plus 1.
And because of that, some of them are very easy to recognize.
Plus 0. Plus 1. Plus 0.
Minus 1.
3.
They like to insert plus 0 and minus 0 into the pattern just to confuse you, like this. Plus 0. Minus 2. Din, din.
3. Minus 0. Plus 1. 3. Minus 0. 0. Plus 1. 1. Plus 0. Plus 1. Plus 0. Minus 1.
So we're in the middle now.
Minus 1. 3. Minus 2. Plus 3. 2.
Uh,
Plus 2. Plus 0.
that
Minus 3.
is what happens if you take too long. It plays that doo-woo kind of noise.
2. Minus 1.
If you take too long to answer,
3. Plus 1. Plus 3.
and that's on
Plus 1.
any mode, it's not just this game, it's any of them. If you take too long, it does that.
Plus 2.
And it doesn't add any,
Minus 1.
doesn't add any points to anyone.
Minus 1. Minus 2. 0. Plus 4. Minus 0. Minus 2. 2. Minus 1. Plus 2. 4. Minus 2. Plus 3. Minus 1. 2. Minus 1.
We're almost there now. I know that it's very long, but for those who've already who've stuck with watching this thing to the very end, well, you're just used to me being as taking as long as I do. But with a Brain Bash, you can't really do anything, especially if you're trying to go for a complete run. Oh, you think it's gonna be 4? No, it's not, because it's minus 2 at the end. Minus 2. Din, din. Minus 4. Din, din. Minus 2. Yeah, it's the same patterns over and over. Now, of course, if you're playing this with 3 players, the patterns that have the answer of 4 will be excluded, because you wouldn't be able to answer those. Okay, we're finally at the home stretch. We're just about to stop. And here are final scores. I'm really surprised that the batteries actually, like, decided to die like this in the middle of the game. I never heard it do such a drastic change before. You have to be very, very quick. Okay, we're just about to end now. That's a phone, you know. No! It doesn't matter. I really can't count today. When we're gonna end, we'll have a double symbol. a double symbol crash instead of just a single one.
3 plus 0 minus 1. 3 minus 2 plus 2 plus 1. 4 minus 1 plus 3 minus 2. 4 minus 1 plus 3 minus 2.
There you go. I answered it correctly this time.
Player 1 is winning with 122 points.
Aw,
Nice going, player 1.
2 points
Player
away
3 is
from
next
perfection.
with 119 points.
19.
Player 4 is last with 116 points.
16
Come
points.
on, player 4. Player
Player
2
2 is
last
also the
with
same.
116 points. Come on, player 2.
So now you can review your final scores by pressing the outer buttons, or you can press any of the inner buttons and it will
Let's play Brain Bash.
reset itself. So that was a full run of the Brain Bash, and somehow the batteries just decided to die in the middle of the thing. You know what that means? That means I can go and record some more glitches. Well, if they decide to show themselves, because it doesn't happen all the time, but it does happen sometimes. I have heard people getting, especially the jump scare glitch on the Brain Bash, with good batteries. I don't know how the hell that's even possible, because I've never had my Brain Bash do, well, mine, after Pixel gave me his, that is. I've never had the Brain Bash do anything on good batteries, only on low ones, and only when I was specifically messing with the batteries and trying to get it to glitch around is when it started doing things. I've never had it just do something out of complete nowhere. Anyway, that was the Brain Bash from Tiger in 1994, and I'm going to try to make a habit of doing these. I don't know how long the next ones will take and how long it'll take for me to actually do more of these. I don't think I'll need to do ones for the games that I have bought myself, because of the fact that my first impressions videos are usually they cover everything there is to know about the games. So I won't be doing another one for, say, the Uno Blitzo, the Super Click It, or the Hyper Slide, because I've already done videos on those, and because of the fact that I've done the high score recap in the beginning of this one, there's no real reason to come back to it again. But I will do some more on the games that Daniel has sent me in his huge package. So those will come at some point later. So I hope you've enjoyed, and I'll see you next time.